and welcome to the Open Book channel where I talk about anything and everything writerly very, very honestly. My name is Lady Valheim, your designated open book. It's the second week in April, which means the first fiscal quarter of the year has come to a close, and I have to own up to how I did on my quarterly goals. In the first quarter of 2023, I announced I wanted to start up a new publication on Medium called Crumpled Paper Press, and in doing so, my end goal was to get enough bits of writing and willing contributors that I could make a themed e-zine. I still want to do this, and I have a really unique approach to how we'd have physical zine distribution rights on top of producing an e-zine, but my plans didn't kick off nearly as well as I'd hoped. In my announcement video, I shared my stats on Medium so we could look at whether they'd change over the coming months as the publication grew, and well, here's where we're at. My starting followers on January 29th were 250. My current followers on April 15th are 268. My earnings from reads on my personal partnership program has gone from 0 in January, because that's when I re-enlisted in the partner program, to $1.21 in February and 86 cents in March. As for Crumpled Paper Press itself, here's its story stats. We've gone up 4 writers and no submissions. Not one. Well, technically ones that I submitted, but that doesn't really count. I know I haven't exactly given myself a whole lot of time to accumulate better stats here. My first quarter's goal was to start the publication, not to have enough material to make the zine already. I never expected things to blow up quickly, but I have to admit I am a little disappointed. And not because the amount of writers who have joined either, even. 4 writers is way better than nothing. Except it's not when they give you nothing. I purposely made Crumpled Paper Press's theme very open and easy to submit to. Anyone can write a letter or share a quick, quirky little thought that they had about life as they were going about their day. What I hadn't anticipated, however, was publication collectors. I'd like to be clear, as the editor of Crumpled Paper Press, I am not name-dropping any of my accepted writers. That'd be a bad look. People have lives, and there's no big incentive to submit to CPP because there isn't a big audience. I know I'm not yet able to provide value back to those who become writers for my publication by giving them exposure through my publication. But I also accidentally gave the impression that there were kind of no expectations on accepted writers. And that's a mistake that I accept and now have learned from. Here's the original bit I had on my article for accepting writers. It will be a long time before Crumpled Paper Press hits a limit to how many writers it's allowed on the publication. So, you don't have to worry about being booted out for inactivity if you haven't submitted in a couple months. We all have lives, there's no quota to hit here. So, in turn, I got several writers asking to join the publication, and none of them submitted anything to it. For months. By not defining an expectation for the writers, I ended up getting the equivalent, which is nothing. In the pursuit of being a pretty chill publication, I didn't anticipate publication collectors. I don't know if that's what anyone else calls them, that's just the best way I came up with to describe it. So, what do I mean when I say publication collector? To me, a publication collector is a writer on Medium that actively applies to as many open publications as they can without any genuine intent to submit to them. Medium members have no limit to how many publications they can be a part of, and publications themselves have a really high cap on how many writers they can accept. So, unless you're a high demand or high traffic publication, it doesn't benefit you much to be picky. But in my case, I think I should be a little more picky because it's just a little sad. I don't want Crumpled Paper Press to be a publication filled with just my stuff. Making the publication open to anyone who asks, and not asking anything of them, is a surefire way to keep accumulating writers and never get any work for the gallery. I can accept hundreds of writers, sure, but now I'm looking at it like, if these writers ask to be accepted into my pub without a specific intent to submit to it, how many other publications do they have under their belt? When they do have a piece that I'd be happy to accept, what are the chances they won't scroll through their dozens, maybe even hundreds of accumulated publications and overlook mine? And I never get anything from them anyway, drowned out by the massive list of places that they have that they can send to instead. I hope that doesn't sound like I feel entitled to other people's writing, when I know they're not getting a whole lot for it aside from my appreciation and exposure. But in the same way, what do they get from joining a publication that they never use? No one wins in this situation, in the long run. So I think it's up to me to implement something different in the short run. So maybe that will change and the publication can grow and be worth more to its writers too. So yeah, that's something that I hadn't thought of starting this publication and something to be aware of if you're starting a publication on Medium too. Make meaningful guidelines or you will not necessarily be used, but you might be collected. So, starting in April, I added this paragraph to the writer's acceptance article for Crumpled Paper Press after saying I won't be actively monitoring or booting people if they step away from the platform for a couple months. I have added, that said, once you've been accepted into CPP, you will be expected to submit something within the first week or so. Every writer searchable in Crumpled Paper Press's writers database should at least have one piece available to read, or they will be removed, eventually. CPP does not host writers that collect publications and never have the intention to contribute. Thank you for your understanding. So please let me know in the comments below if you think that what I've implemented here seems fair. I feel like it's a good compromise, that I won't hark my writers for work over the duration of them being a writer for the publication, but they also won't leave me hanging with absolutely nothing to post on the homepage. I know some people might get offended by the idea of getting kicked from a pub for not submitting a piece to join, or to stay joined, but if you don't have anything to submit, then why do you want to be a writer for the publication in the first place? If not for vanity and collecting clout in the number of publications that you've been accepted to. You can't call yourself a writer if you never write, right? So yeah, Crumpled Paper Press is still open, of course. I'm super happy and ready to accept anyone's writing. Getting to maintain one's status as a writer in CPP is just dependent on submitting a single timely piece now. I'll let you know after another quarter or two has passed how the strategy has worked out for me and whether it's boosted the submissions I receive. I hope it does. We'll see. If you're wondering what my goals for this quarter is to try and break even on Acidic Ink Publishing, my business, but also I'm working on something secret called Project Maple. It's not that hard to figure out what it's about, but I'll explicitly give you more info on it as soon as it starts coming along. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, there's a link to my Ko-fi in the description below. A special thanks to the open book supporters, you're the best, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!